It's good to know that you're still with us, and that it's time for us to look at some of the selected national dailies for today, the 1st of November 2023. And we'll start with the home front, that is Daily Trust newspaper. So the lead story this morning says scarcity returns to Kano and Borno. Interesting riders you might want to look at. Bank ration withdrawals, ATM runs dry. And old notes won't be phased out December 31. That's coming from the Central Bank of Nigeria official. And the Abuja Burundi change operators decry Naira crunch. Page 4 has details of all of this. And then below it, we have a lot of pictorials there. Roads and drainage construction. You know, Governor Malabuni building a stronger post-insurgency. That's Yobe State Part 1. Check details of this. Check page 3 for the details of all of this. And then there seems to be a lot of analysis using pictures here. And you might just want to take a look at it this morning. And there's one about healthcare. There's one about agriculture. And, you know, other healthcare project that's coming from Yobe State there. And that seems to be all we have in front of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
Moving on to the Punch newspaper this morning, staying with the main story there, it's on the Rivers crisis. Tinubu PDP governor stops Fabura's removal and protesters arrested. PDP governors excited as Tinubu intervenes. Wike receives Niger Delta leaders. Mom over crisis and protesters, police clash at speaker's residence. Fabura's Kingsman seeks Rivers CP removal. You'll find there pictorials of your youth's protests erupted at the River States yesterday, each of them bearing different placard depending on what side of the divide they belong. And to other stories above the name marks, FG budgets 552 billion for arms and anti-terror fight. And Senate launches fresh probe into Naira redesign. Lagos secures $1.3 billion for 4th Mainland Bridge, the much-awaited 4th Mainland Bridge. And to other stories, yeah. Appeal Court clears silver of Bayelsa for Bayelsa polls. Fines challenger 1 million naira. The judge described the challenger as a meddlesome interloper. the Supreme Court has a way, you know, of coming up with tags.
Exactly.
You know, these days.
The different cases.
Yeah. Oyam Dam, Ogun, communities panic over fresh flooding. And then finally there we have Zenith Bank's Q3 profit rises to 505 billion. Now,
let's take a look at The Guardian. At the lead story says MDA's firms shun local data centers and spend scarce forex abroad. Why this is happening, you might take a look at page 6 for that information. And below that we have the global statistics of local capacity, CAGR of 23.24% of globally projected $517 billion. All right, you might take a look at the global statistics and investment profile there, just below the lead story. And then just close to that, we have Obi Flay's executive criminal mindedness, 6 parliamentary system. All right, page 3 has details of that. Below that, we have Akeredolu and the governance void in Ondo State. Page 16 has details of that story. And then Nigerians spend $975 million daily on online betting. Wow, that's really huge. Well, you get details of that on page 2. And then we have calm in Rivers as Tinubu negotiates a ceasefire in Wike and Fubara's feud. Right, page 6 has details of that story. And we have hashtag NSAS as a kicker. The National Human Rights Commission receives panel reports from 16 out of 29 states. Page 3 has details of that story. And then we have 16.25 trillion naira lost to oil theft, 74.386 billion spent on fuel subsidy, says Nati. Okay, in Transparency International, you might want to get details of that on page 2. All right. And those are the stories from the Guardian this morning.
All right, we'll move on quickly to the blueprint, and it's the major story there. It's with the kicker. PDP governors tinubu didn't use hammer, biro to emasculate opposition. Louds President Supreme Court victory, non-interference in tribunal cases, expressed confidence in quick resolution of Fabura-Wike feud, and Lagos lawmakers urge end to River Assembly chaos. And you find there pictures, of course, of the president and the state governors at the end of the police council meeting in Abuja yesterday. And to other stories, November Guba with appeal court victory, silver upbeats on bielsa polls. No plans to redominate the Naira, CBN insists, and Kojan twins, Saudi Kingdom offers to conduct surgical operation. Interesting offer there from Saudi Arabia. No meaningful police reform since 1861. This is coming for Dakpa Abiodun. Tinubu set up Constitutional Review Committee to reverse trend. Poultry farmers fair industry collapse over FS restriction removal. Police nab 14-year-old killer of FUT Mina lecturer, 14-year-old. You know, and Zenith Bank records 114% growth, makes 1.3 trillion in Q3 2023. That's it on the front page of Blueprint newspaper.
All right, so this Nigerian newspaper is next, and we'll take a look at this story that says National Assembly passes 2.1 trillion naira supplementary budget for second reading. Page 6 has details of that. And the Nigerian passport as a kicker. Many applicants unaware of minister's 2-week directive. That's coming from a report, and it says that some immigration officials have made collection of passports difficult for Nigerians. So wading into all of those problems and the way forward, if possible, page 4 has details of that story. And then on Kogi Central, Governor Bello accepts Akpoti Uduagan's victory. Page 13 has details of that story. Then Senate probes NSPMC over new Naira notes production. All right, page 6 has details. And on Bayelsa gubernatorial election, appeal court clears APC silver. Page 14 has details. And then we have a pictorial of the chairman, Police Service Commission, Solomon Arase, congratulating the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, after the National Police Council meeting where Egbetokun was confirmed as the substantive Inspector General of Police in Nigeria. And lastly, we have Rivers crisis. Tinubu waiting, says Bala Mohammed. And Wike issues not ethnic based. Get details of all of the story in this Nigeria newspaper. And that's the much we can take on today's national dailies. Now let's get into analysis. Now we have our reviewer in the studio already, and we'll get into the analysis and taking a look at beyond the headlines this morning. So we're now joined in the studio to analyze and review, or to review our paper. We're now joined by Mr. Ben Shemang, former Director of News, the Voice of Nigeria, and he joins us to review some of the headlines we've taken from some of the selected national dailies this morning. It's always a pleasure to have you join us in the studio.
Thank you. Always a pleasure. Always inviting me.
All right, let's take a look at the lead story in the Daily Trust newspaper now. We have cash scarcity returns to Kano and Borno. And we know what we went through a few months ago when there was cash crunch, how everybody had to adjust. Do you think that Nigerians can survive another cash crunch from all of this?
No, I think it's not the best of times that there is scarcity of money, liquid, so to speak, in circulation. And more so, if the old currency was returned, new ones replaced, and they said now they can now work in concert, they can be together, then there shouldn't be issue of scarcity, to the best of my knowledge. Then the issue of also accepting change to issue of handling liquid cash, raw, in bundles, I think shouldn't just be it, because if you look at the way it's handled, it's always, especially when you go to religious places like churches, when you want to give some offertory, sometimes some people so squeeze the money. I mean, that believer, or let not your neighbor know what, that really is not the issue. You can simply, I've seen some Indians, each time they want to do donations, they even raise it up this way, the bundle they have, and they drop it there neatly. But that is just by the way. But I think too that we should imbibe this electronic fund transfer. We should purchase and do transactions electronically, not necessarily carrying raw cash. That will also reduce cases of armed robbery in houses, because when they know one is at home and there is big money, of course the invaders will come in. So I think it's a good global trend that Nigeria should not be found wanting. But if again there are some, I mean, people say it takes so much money to print this money. If it is so, what is the alternative? I think that the cashless society should be the thing. But again, the banks too should find ways of protecting customers. The way you sit down and see your money flying away, I mean, it's not like a pipe you will rush to go and shut and the water stops. Your money will just be going, flying just like that, and you are helpless. You write a petition, the bank says they are helpless. So why do you give me something? You give me your daughter to protect, and you said, I'll tell you, I'm helpless in protecting her.
So the Central Bank of Nigeria is saying that they're not phasing out the old Naira notes December 30th as speculated. Did you see that coming? Well,
you see, sometimes with government, you have to wait till that date comes. Because sometimes we talk faster than the action. But be that as it may, we should not be injecting some pains into Nigerians, you know, because what's really the job of government? There has to be that raison d'etre, kind of the very reason for a state to exist. You protect me, you know, so that I can live, because there is that social contract between you and I. So it's a symbiotic relationship. You wash my hand, I wash yours, and we live in peace. Society is better.
All right. I like the analogy you did about giving me your daughter and protecting or not protecting it. We'll move on to other issues. About 48 hours ago, Rivers was up in flame because of two gladiators, one a godfather, the other a godson. But it does appear that the godson is saying, I've come of age, let me be, however that is interpreted. But the president weighed in yesterday, according to what Bala Mohammed told us after council. What do you make of what is happening in Rivers, and of course the intervention of the president?
Yeah, sometimes it's the double talk that one finds hard to comprehend. Again, when big people in society, stakeholders, begin to talk with their tongues in their cheek, you know, or cheeks, you are not bringing out the message clearly. Now we are told Wike is not involved. So why is he being reconciled? Who is reconciling him? We are told he's not involved, you know. So it means there's a proxy war somewhere. Wike is here far away in Abuja, and you could see the headlines, oh, Fubara and Wike met in Abuja. It's clear, yes, they met, the police council met, and all governors and the FCT minister, they all have to meet, yes. If they shook hands, yes, they shook hands, but I was thinking a reporter would be, a cameraman would station and see, will these people shake hands? So that also makes part of the news.
But can the council secretariat make sure that their seats were not
yeah, but if I think I'm conversant with that place, with the chambers, because you must come before the vice president, you must come before the president. And you see them, I won't call it loafing around. Oh, long time no see, you shake hands and here and there. So a journalist that has his knack, the nose and the eyes to look for news, to get that action that will not be reenacted, you should just station his camera. That single shot will tell the entire story. But back to the River State itself, you see, I think it's a tragedy that people you thought ordinarily would have been working together, you see the arson, see the orgies, see the destruction that has been done there. Money that would have been used for other things will now be sunk into ensuring that the bond buildings are taken care of. It's not the best of times, and when there's also this loss of confidence between the people and the police, it doesn't augur well for the society. And when you have got the political godfather and the godson now fighting, it means ab initio. It's not. It wasn't a marriage of convenience, you know. Bearing in mind that even what actually happened when EFCC was also looking for this same governor, somewhere along the line, many waters passed under the bridge. Then he became a governor. Now, if he feels that he ought to do his dance, but someone somewhere has to do the drumming, has to do the singing, and it tells you the dancing steps you will take. Time has come for me too to do my own dance, for people of Rivers to assess me. And usually when you see a group of lions, the big male one will always challenge any male around to ensure that dominance. But the children, the lion cub will grow to challenge the father and say, come, I have to expel you from this place. So in Rivers State, truly, we have very big politicians who feel they have to take charge every time and all the times. Whatever they say, everybody should just say, yes, sir. Knowledge must start and end with them. Directives must come from top down, never down up. No, no matter who you are, whether you are a governor or whatever, I think it's part of the worst of the times for Rivers State.
So help us understand what's going on, especially with godfathers. And this is not a Rivers thing, and we have seen it across everywhere. As governors have had to plant a successor, they still want to be in control. They nominate more than 50% of the cabinet members of the new governor. The kind of things they would not have tolerated in their own time as governor. What is this penchant for wanting to be in control even when your time is done?
And that's why I like one thing about Buhari. He didn't bother about the Sumbanjo. Go and do your dance. Now, but when you say you want to install, of course, when you install someone, you want to control. You still want to rule him, or you tell him what to do. And sometimes you could have some things you want hidden. Should there be some corruptive tendencies? You say, oh boy, my son, remember I put you there. All men are brothers. You cannot reveal. You know, it's like you sign an oath of secrecy between God the Father and sorry, let me remove the political godfather and the son. It's like there is this oath, don't reveal anything. But in trying not to reveal everything, look, why do you begin to direct as to which project you still want this governor to do? If you feel that road construction is the best of the best, you now go to some areas and you see that they don't have anything you call healthcare facilities. You have to do something. You go to some areas, total slush here and there, the oil pollution. If you feel, if you can do some relief kind of a thing on the environment, and the people go into farming and they are better off, why not? But when you still feel that you've left and the project you had, at any rate, I think that the Rivers governor then was saying that he was not going to leave any project, any over matter for the incoming president. And that was why, like Omar Yaradua, when he was in Kaduna, all the projects he never finished, Shema came in and said, I will not start any unless I finish that of Omar Musa Yar'Adua. And he did that. Thereafter, he started his own. You know, whether Masri also continued that way is a different thing for the Katsina people to tell us.
All right, let's take a look at this one on this Nigeria newspaper. It's about the Nigerian passport. And we've known how Nigerians have to wait a long time sometimes 6 months, less than that and all that. So there's a report that says that many applicants are not aware of the minister's 2-week directive, which would take effect in December, according to report. But let's take a look at the activities of immigration officers now, where they have to, some people go as far as extorting money more than the official rate, and then the collection of passport become difficult for Nigerians. Let's get your 2 cents about this development.
I think if the minister puts his feet on the ground, it's going to work. Why is it working in some other countries? What is hard? But a situation where you're supposed to pay for a passport, what you call treasury single account, you send it there, then send evidence electronically, and it's been processed. But some people would rather know, this is my account. This passport will cost you 5,000 naira. But because I need to do some other 1, 2, 3 things to oil your rights of passage easily, it will cost you 7,000 naira. And in that case, there are delays. Even when you're going to do some data capturing your passport physically and all that, you just see that because the person is now trying, he did the transaction through the window. He's now trying to force himself through the window when indeed some other people entered are correct in the correct manner via the door. And so you just see that there will be some disruptions into the system. So I think that is a corruptive tendency. The immigration they have what they call police immigration. Those with the white belt, they should put their feet down. And where need be, let there be a situation where some people can pretend to be buying or purchasing or applying for passports, and you see that quite a lot of things will be unearthed in terms of corruption. But if the new minister, the new CG, if they are actually out to help Nigerians, the time has come. And I think waiting for just ordinary what should be yours shouldn't just be the thing.
I think
and
one of
some
the
people also, yes, some people are also thinking of this Japa
syndrome.
Yes, when you just get this, it means you are leaving the country. Recall that when Olaf Scholz, the German chancellor, was here, he actually said, look, there are 12,000 unwanted Nigerians in Germany. President Tinubu, can we come to terms together? How do we handle these people? If we send them back, are you ready to receive them? Tinubu say, yeah, they are our citizens. There's nothing we can do. So if you have 12,000 unwanted in Germany alone, what about other people, other countries? So, and you could see, go to many of these embassies or high commissions, especially European ones, see how many Nigerians are loitering, how many they are locking around. They want to just leave this country. And when you go there, I remember we once went to America. That cold, the guy was shivering like a weaver bird and still looking for something for cigar. I said, why do I give you something for cigar? Come home. Said, no, that at that time, we're talking of the 90s, that a loaf of bread was 1,000 naira. And I said, then how much is my salary? Please, see, if you are not making it here, come you eat at home in your father's house and sleep very well. But a situation where you are looking for something to keep some warmth because you are at the wrong place, return home.
Okay, so him is at the right place. It's just that the weather condition was not favorable at that time.
The weather as per weather in geography and the weather pocket-wise was not okay. Then the weather as per what you can do to sustain your life, and probably you deceive your parents into selling land, selling houses. The poor pensioners, they sold their last car for you to go to America. And there you are at the corridors, sleeping and wrapping yourself and begging for how to take cigar.
I'm not sure whether it is the children deceiving parents or is the parent deceiving children. I think we all see going to abroad as the solution to what's happening home. And I was wondering, the German Chancellor was saying 12,000 unwanted Nigeria. Unwanted by who? Is it Nigerians not wanted in Germany or the Germans not wanted Nigeria?
Nigeria?
In fact, he said the way these 12,000 entered into Germany.
That's the only way available to them.
But one other thing was clear. Talking about lithium, he emphasized that, look, this thing, if you can establish companies in here, you absorb quite a lot of people working in the industry, and these are the youths who are doing nothing over there. So we think that Europe, according to Walter Rodney, having underdeveloped Africa, it is time for them to do their investments in here. Labor will be cheap. Very, very cheap, and will be employed. We don't have to run through the desert to go through the Atlantic Ocean or Mediterranean in order to go to look for succor.
There's another side to the argument which says the development of Africa has to be by Africans. If we want to wait for people, we may not be able to attain the level of development we want in another century. But moving on to other stories, yesterday Nighty was saying that there had been about 16.25 trillion lost to oil theft, and another 74.3 billion spent on fuel subsidy. 16 trillion is almost some fractions away from what our annual budgets are to oil theft. And No Ribadu, by his last inspection about a fortnight ago in the Delta, told us that we are still experiencing the same colossal amount of oil theft in the Delta. Is there nothing we can do to stop this, especially at a time when the national purse is bleeding and the federal government is struggling to keep pace with all of the demands from the union and some of his and being able to fund some of his renewed hope agenda?
There is something we can do. The laws are there, but no one. We've just spoken about the passports. Minister is saying, look, there's going to be a change. Now, if we're saying money just disappeared like smoke or vapor into the thin air, and nobody is... See, if we can see these figures, and we begin to see the inflow, I mean, when we're talking of the oil going, then it follows that we can do some tracking. Remember when there was war in Sierra Leone over diamond? What did the United Nations and European countries, developed countries, they said blood diamond. What did they do? Any diamond going out of Africa, you now have to identify country of origin and how it came out and from where. And that ensured that they checked, they curtailed it, and the war ended. Now, when Goodluck Jonathan was in power, he said the way blood diamond was treated, I think in Nigeria we should treat crude oil, blood crude oil, something like that. So that countries that just receive crude oil, you don't have papers of origin. Where did you get this from? Which government did you supply this? And which country? And by the time you do the tracking of where it came from and where it is going to, of course, something could be done. Then you also have the Navy too, should look at the coastline seriously. If you have a ship that can take 2 days to load crude oil, 2 days it is in the sea. So what happened? Why was it that it was not detected?
So are you saying
I think
that Aseri Dokubo was right to have said that what is happening is a mega conspiracy between our security forces and people in the
Well, I will not toe the line of Aseri Dokubo. I will just speak my own mind by saying that the Navy, if there are some equipment that they ought to have that they don't have, they could have these joint ops with the Air Force. You're checking up there in the sky. If you see any suspicious movement, of course, they usually have ways of communicating. And those days, I used to hear of bill of lading. When you're buying something or bringing it to Nigeria, I mean, something pre-inspection will come in. You go there and inspect before it goes out, and even before it comes. Today we're talking of, those days we were talking of faxing. Now we can just do, I mean, some WhatsApp kind of a thing. Send your materials, we check, okay, these are the things we expect from this country. So dead, so ship, the captain is this, and all that stuff. So if we put all of this in check, and I know the Navy can do that, I know the government can do that, the Marine Police, they all are there, the NNPC people, NNPCL, I'm still thinking, even when they've changed NEPA, people still shout NEPA, you know. So I think that these laid down principles, procedures should be followed. And a situation where people just go break the pipes and just siphon. I mean, if you are just simply not allowed to bath there, here in transportation in Abuja here, if you are not allowed to park here, you know you are not supposed to park there. In the same way, when you see a ship just stop midway, I mean, it's suspicious already. You go hoover around. So gentlemen, where are you from?
We just hope that, you know, this issue of oil theft is dealt with as soon as possible, so we don't lose almost half of our budget into oil theft. But thank you so much, Mr. Ben Shemang, for always being a part of Daybreak and giving us your analysis and reviewing the papers with us. Thank you for coming today.
Always a great pleasure.
All right, Mr. Ben Shemang is the former Director of News, Voice of Nigeria, and he has been our reviewer this morning on the show. Like they say, anything that has a beginning will definitely come to an end. And we've come to the end of Daybreak this morning. Thank you for being a part of the show. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same station. My name is Martia Umar.
It's a pleasure to have you. Allow us free access into your living room, as I would always say. If you have missed out on any part of the show, do well to look up our social media handle on Instagram and on YouTube to catch up on all the interesting aspects of today's program. Let's keep a date tomorrow. I am Sunday Michael Ogun.